collaborate, to accomplish, but together. And so that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator on tonight, the lovely, great, beautiful Minister Tiffany J. Martin.
All right. Well, praise the Lord. Can everyone hear me clearly in the room and on Zoom? Awesome. So welcome. I know you all know I'm so excited that you all are here. We had the honor and the privilege of all of us having the opportunity to talk before you came here. So again, thank you all for making the commitment to come, and I'm so excited. So how our panel will work, I have some questions that I will ask you all. What I love about each and every one of you is, although you have a profession, some of you are parents, some of you have families, so you serve in multiple different capacities. The beauty of that means that even though you don't have a specific topic, I do believe that each one of you has the ability and the expertise to add additional insight to any of the topics that we have. So even though I may ask a question that is directed to a specific individual, please know that you are open, welcome, and encouraged to respond if you so feel that you have some additional insight that you can offer for all of us that are here, okay? All right, so I have one question. Some of you may have two questions from me. Some of our audience members have multiple questions because they already came to talk to me before we started today. So again, we are really excited. I'll go through my questions, the audience will come forward, and there may be something that comes up that isn't brought up in a question, and you may think that it's important to share, so I encourage you to move forward and share that with us. Okay, are we ready to get started? We're going to start with our introduction. So Apostle, thank you. You did a wonderful job introducing me. I feel very honored to receive that type of introduction from you. So I'm grateful also because in some capacities, I get an opportunity to engage with some of our panelists through my work. So we'll start with Josh Johnson, who is a very multifaceted individual. So you'll see his bio here on the screen. Josh Johnson is a Tallahassee native, holds a BA in political science, MA in global securities from Florida A&M, no judgment, go Noles, in a global securities. I don't hold it against you though, Josh. I don't hold it against you. So clearly we have a mixed audience in here. So Josh serves as the president and CEO of 621 Gallery, a nonprofit dedicated to arts programming and exhibitions in Tallahassee. So I brought a couple of y'all to his art gallery with me this year. Josh is extremely passionate about the intersection of art and activism, and I can say I've had the privilege to see that in action, and I really do appreciate your leadership in that area, Josh. Josh believes both are vital to culture and powerful tools for community transformation, noting that any division between the two exists only in audience perception. Last and certainly not least, he also co-hosts Speaking Of on WFSU 88.9. So if you ever get an opportunity, definitely go check him out. So thank you and welcome, Josh. So next we have Miss Michelle, and I had the honor of meeting her through work as she was experiencing some transition. So it's great that we have an opportunity to come back and work together as well. Michelle Moultrie has served in a leadership capacity within the child welfare industry in Tallahassee. She's been in her current role for about a year. However, she has a very strong dedication to children and families in our Big Bend area, and it's great to see that, and it dates all the way back to 2014, so that is more than 10 years. So thank you for your service to our community. She's also expanded her impact over the past year by working in long-term care. Another Tallahassee native and Rattler, apparently. Okay, go Rattlers. We definitely got some Rattler pride in the room. She is known for her compassionate approach, a strong advocacy for families, and the positive energy that she brings to the challenges of case management. Her presence continues to be a steady and uplifting voice for those she serves. And again, welcome and thank you so much. Miss Janess. I'm really excited about Miss Janess because she serves in a mental health capacity, but the beauty about her work is she serves in a rural community. So I grew up in Gaston County, and of course it has a very special place in my heart, but I know that means you have a very valuable perspective to offer us today. So thank you for coming. So Janess is a dedicated mental health professional, over 15 years. Helping individuals build resilience and achieve emotional wellness. Also, the other beauty about what she does, she's also worked in corrections as well in the mental health realm. So that's another perspective that you have to offer that we're looking forward to hearing. Her background in criminal justice and mental health counseling, along with ongoing training in therapeutic modalities, reflects a deep commitment to effective and compassionate care. And we know how important compassion is to the individuals in our community. Janess specializes in psychotic disorders, trauma recovery, tailoring her approach to meet each client's unique needs. She offers support through individual therapy, group sessions and workshops, creating spaces for healing and empowerment, and also most recently started her own practice. All right. Yes. So again, thank you for the work that you're doing, and as a ministry, we certainly look forward to seeing how the work that you're doing is going to continue to flourish in your community as well. Miss Erica, we got a chance to talk yesterday, and I'm just really excited. Although our conversation was brief yesterday, I heard enough from you to know that you have a true passion for the work that you do, and you are very dedicated to it. So again, we appreciate your presence, and thank you for being here. Your bio is going to pop up on the screen in a minute.
I was looking for it.
Yes, ma'am. It's coming in a moment. It's coming in a moment. So Ms. Erica, she's also going to be covering the mental health crisis as well. She has some great perspective to offer us as we're waiting for this to come up. And as we're waiting, I also wanted to share, continue to have your questions. I encourage you to challenge our panelists, because we know that with quality information as a church and as community members, we have the ability to do a great job with making an impact for Christ. So we know and we believe that God has placed individuals in their professions, and we believe that through the glory of God, they have the ability to truly make some long-term changes and impacts wherever you are. Again, so we're looking forward to hearing about that tonight, but also looking forward to hearing more about your perception, your perspective about how as a church we can do a better job at partnering with you all as leaders and other organizations to truly make a difference that is transformative. Ta-da! So Erica Miller is a licensed clinical social worker in Tallahassee with over 20 years of experience supporting children and families. I know that you've seen so many things in 20 years. So she holds dual master's degrees in social work and information studies, go Noles, from Florida State University, and earned her doctorate in social work from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Dr. Miller is trained in behavior management, that is very important, and integrates evidence-based behavior therapies into her clinical approach. She is an adoption competent therapist and serves as the executive director of the Erica Miller Counseling Group. And I misspoke earlier, your topic will be the younger generation. So again, looking forward to it. Thank you. Now we are transitioning. Chief came in kind of at the tail end when we were planning our panelists. We had to make a change. But again, I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this with and for us. So Chief Bobby Green works at the Leon County Sheriff's Office, as you can see on his shirt. And again, he'll be covering the topic of the younger generation. Chief Bobby Green is the Chief of Investigations for Leon County Sheriff's Office, of course, here in Tallahassee. Over 30 years of service. Thank you. Thank you. That is certainly something to be admired, and definitely you being honored for, because that is no easy job. It's no easy job, and our world is forever changing. So thank you for the work that you do. And so throughout his extensive law enforcement career, he's demonstrated strong leadership, a deep commitment to public safety. Chief Green is actively involved in the community, serving on boards, the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association, 211 Big Bend, AMI Kids, that's a lot in itself, and is a member of Leadership Tallahassee. He's also recognized for his mentorship and coaching roles, including his induction, I did not know this, into the Godby High School Hall of Fame. Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to ask you some more questions about that later. That's awesome. And Josh, you still teach at Godby High School? Josh teaches history at Godby High School. So awesome, awesome, awesome. And next we have none other than Miss Rolanda Dennis. I love that she came ready. I said, did you come off the farm today? Her topic is food and financial sustainability. They just recently acquired a farm and she came ready. So we are, again, congratulations on that. That is a huge accomplishment, and we cannot wait to hear more about this topic. So Rolanda Brown Dennis, RCSWI and MSW, is a holistic therapist and EMDR practitioner with over 20 years. We got a lot of experience in this room. Over 20 years of experience supporting individuals, families, and communities. She's the founder of Manifestation Wellness and Community Helpers for Children and Youth, Inc. Two-time graduate. Go Rattlers. Two-time graduate of Florida A&M University. She also holds a bachelor's and master's degree. She specializes in trauma healing. Her work empowers others to find their voice, which is so important, embrace their worth, and transform into their highest selves. And, you know, I look across the room, we have some young people that is very, very important for them. So thank you for coming as well. All right, if you notice, y'all can go ahead and clap. So if you notice, these two share the same last name. Yes, they are married. Now, although I looked at these names several times, I did not know they was married until we got on Zoom together. So don't charge it to me. So Mr. Dennis, I can say that I have seen Mr. Dennis in action many, 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 many times in the community. And I can say that your passion, your enthusiasm, your commitment to the work that you do, every single time I see you and you speak, it is very evident. And you have definitely encouraged me in my leadership as an executive director here in Tallahassee. So thank you so much for your leadership. Gaston County has just approved a location for a Boys and Girls Club, and that is excellent. So we are so excited about that. So Mr. Dennis will be speaking on the topic of family breakdown. He currently serves as the CEO and president of the Boys and Girls Club of the Big Bend. If you don't know, that's 8 counties, a role he has held with dedication for the past 17 years. And again, what I have witnessed myself, he's done an amazing job. He's born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida. He's always had a passion for working with children, empowering youth to reach their full potential. I have to say, I saw Mr. Dennis at the county commission office, and he had those kids marching in there like a small army. And but what was beautiful, they were confident, they were poised, and they walked in that room like they knew they belonged in that room. And it takes a lot to instill that in our young people. I was thoroughly impressed by that. Thoroughly impressed. So today he strives to pass that same inspiration and guidance to the young people he serves, fostering a supportive environment where every child can thrive. So again, thank you all for being here. We're so excited. Amen. So we'll go through some quick housekeeping rules. This is being recorded, so we just ask that there are no recordings here in the sanctuary. It will be available for everyone that is here after this has concluded. If you want a copy, just come see me and I'll make sure that we get you what you need. So again, please, no recording in the sanctuary. We kind of want to honor this time that we have together, and we'll make sure that you get a copy as well. All right, so my panel, are we ready? Yes, awesome. I'm so excited. I'm ready, of course. First question is for Michelle and Josh. First question is for you two. And again, the whole purpose of us being here is we know that our community has so many different challenges. We know that individuals in our community are experiencing so many things: poverty, food insecurity, mental health, questions about their identity. And so what we're looking to gain and experience from you all is, what have you seen in your experience in your different capacities? Give us more clarity and insight into the issues that you're seeing within our community. But we also want to talk about how can we do a better job as a church with partnering more cohesively with the community to bridge some of those gaps that exist. And we want to also be able to talk about solutions. So tomorrow night, we will have a panel of pastors that will be here doing the same thing that you're doing, but we intend to take some of the insight, some of the information that you're sharing here tonight. We intend to transfer some of that into the conversation tomorrow to continue that conversation, since we have some clergy. So if you're interested, yes, we want you to come. Amen. So Josh and Michelle, what do you see? Can you share a little bit more about examples of abuse and power within our community, and how does that impact our community? So can you share some examples of abuse and power in our community, and how do you see that making an impact on the individuals that live here, work here, raise their children here?
So let me start this one by saying, as a local journalist, I'm going to be very careful not to hit specific issues, because I have a responsibility of objectivity now. But I will say that corruption is something that sweeps plenty of communities. And so what we do see existing here, we wouldn't be alone in seeing it. I want to focus more on how that impacts the people that live here. Corruption impacts us greatly, or greatest, when we're not informed. And so I think that we, and the general we, have an obligation to inform ourselves, because when we are weaponized against these types of things, then they can't happen as much, right? It's an old Bible saying, everything that's done in the dark will come to the light. It is our job to shine that light through information and through getting that information. And so I'm looking forward to this panel. And I hope I answered your question. Was it the impact on the community, or was it the impact on what we do specifically?
Let's do both.
Okay. Well, let me think about that second.
No problem.
Okay,
No problem.
Okay, hard to follow. Well, I think I will speak maybe a little bit more specifically to child welfare and my experience there. I think a lot of what we're seeing can look like corruption from just the politics in the judiciary system. You know, that may look like you taking a child in and that child being removed from your home for reasons that we should be able to control, maybe having more supportive options in place, having the auntie that comes in, or, you know, the church member that comes in and say, hey, I want to support this placement. What's going wrong? How can we improve this placement so that the child can remain in the county that they were, you know, maybe removed from the parent from? Children oftentimes disrupt placements or have placements disrupted by their caregivers because their caregivers don't have support. They don't have support from the community. They feel alone. They could be agitated by just the nuances of the cases that they're dealing with. And sometimes that takes a toll. And then when you add in just kind of the play of politics and corruption in the system, people wanting to take children and have them adopted by them when that might not be the best solution, because there are families, present, or maybe people aren't doing the work needed to find family, that maybe that child belongs to. So sometimes I think it's just if we can have folks from the church, the community, standing up and being that voice, being that extra support for that family, they can get that guidance, and that resource, and we can have that light kind of shine. If you will.
Thank you. And Josh, you mentioned we need to be more informed. And if I understood you properly, if we are more informed, instances of corruption and misuse of power may not be as prevalent. Did I understand you properly? How can we be more informed?
Well, one of the things that you're doing is quite organic with something like this, hearing from people that are in it. I got to pause for a second. I'm distracted. That top tile up there keeps showing me when I talk, and I didn't know I was that handsome.
Leave it to Josh.
And so, organic.
He doing a good job, clearly.
Organic things like this are usually most helpful because they don't come with a certain homework or certain responsibility. People are comfortable. They're in the environment that they see, once a week or twice a week, or however often you guys have service here. And so I think that these types of things are really cool. The second thing that I will say, and I hope it doesn't sound like I'm beating up on the church, because I would never put myself in a position to do that, but apathy is the breeding ground of corruption, because the less people care, the easier it is to get away from stuff. And every Sunday and every Wednesday night, especially in our community, the Black community, we have a captive audience, which are the members of our churches. And I think that it's not just a good thing to do. I think it's a direct responsibility of the church to go out. What do they say in that Bible verse? And come amongst the dry bones and bring them back to life. You got to be amongst the bones to know that they're dry. If you're never out there, you won't know. And so that's not an accusation. That's just me saying, if that's not something that's happening, that's probably the most natural way that it could happen, by just getting out in the community and doing things and seeing for yourself what's going on, and then by staying informed with your local news and media and things like that.
Okay. Thank you. Josh, I think you stirred something up, because I'm looking at my questions like I think I want to ask a different question now. But Miss Rolanda, you wanted to say something to that? It's on. It's on. Yes.
So I wanted to add to that as well, and it's part of the reason why I got trained in EMDR therapy, having
There you go. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm already loud. It's okay. So it's part of the reason why I got into EMDR therapy. Working in child welfare and seeing things that were happening to families, but then also being in the graduate program at FAMU, we as students had the opportunity to go out into the community and be a part of the, what do you call them? Like the town hall meetings and things like that. And something that stood out to me the most is that there weren't a lot of us present. And for those that were present, it was the elders that were invested in the community, but we didn't see a lot of middle age or younger population being there to represent the communities. And so we are concerned about gentrification and different things that are happening, but the people weren't there. And so as I began to dig deeper, like, where is everyone? Like, why, what's happening? I realized that there was a gap in how the announcements were being made. So we have populations of individuals that do not have internet access. And so if you are putting out on the internet that a town hall meeting is coming up.
Make sure. Gotcha.
How about now? See, I knew my microphone was off. I knew it. I was like, y'all sure y'all can hear me? But what I noticed was there was a gap in that communication and how it was being put out there. And so if you go and you're complaining, it's the final stages of like, oh, we're going to put this building, you know, in your community. And it's like, well, we didn't know anything about it. Well, we advertised it, you know, 6 months ago. The way that things were being done was purposely, let me be careful what because sometimes I don't have a filter, so y'all forgive me. But it was purposely hidden in plain sight, if that makes sense, right? So how many people are actually going to the county commission websites and looking at what the calendar is saying for the, because it's there. It's literally there. But if you don't get a flyer or something in the mail, you're not going to know, and then you hear about this change. And so how I feel that the church can assist in that is encouraging members to be present. Even if that means, you know, someone in the outreach committee looking at that calendar to see what's going on. Because I'm going to tell you now, the planning department, they already have their stuff for what they're going to do in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The construction that's been going on Orange Avenue, they had already decided that. And I was in grad school back in 2017, 18, something like that. But that was a process that was already in place, but no one knew about it. And so I think that that's a great way of kind of getting either ahead of the game or being at the table for those conversations and advocating for what you want in your community and what you don't want in your community. Because as adults, we can't just think about us and how it's affecting us. We have to think about the younger generation that's coming behind us as well. And so that's something that, you know, can be done. Look into these websites. What are the conversations that are being had? What are the officials that are zoned in these various areas? Are they showing up? And if not, call on them to show up, because we're voting them in place. So
Thank you. I love that. So, and I'm going to transition to you, Mr. Dennis. I serve on the Commission of the Status of Women and Girls here in Leon County. We just had a meeting on Monday night, and something we spoke about was the county and city commission meetings. They're happening during work hours, and people need to work. And to your point, yes, and to your point as well, Josh, yes. It is important to be present. It is important to be informed. But if you are a parent, 1 or 2 kids or more, and let's just add on you're a single parent, maybe your kids are involved in sports or any after-school activities, that may create a strain for your ability to physically be present. Not only that, you may have other concerns, your health, your finances. Things are more expensive today than they were last year, and simple things like food and gas. And so, Mr. Dennis, what type of feedback do you have for us as a church of what can we do when we know that we're serving individuals who have those, what I would say more of a natural barrier, that they don't have the ability to get to City Hall. They don't have the ability to get to the courthouse for a county commission meeting. What have you seen, or what can we do as a church? What insight do you have because of your capacity in which you serve?
Yes, definitely. So personally, what we've done is just like you mentioned with the kids that day. So there was an issue where they were looking to cut funding, as you know, cut a major amount of funding from the Boys and Girls Club, or from youth serving organizations in this area. And so of course we heard about it, and we brought literally 100 kids to the county office to make sure that they saw the faces of the people who they were going to affect. So definitely rallying those folks up and actually taking them there. If you have transportation, making sure that they have a way to get to those events, to those places where they need to be, because as we know, transportation is a huge issue for a lot of the populations that we serve. So definitely making sure that we're able to, get them there, get them that information using, at all of our clubs that we have, event boards and we have a system that we use to get information out to all of our parents. So using those different, mechanisms to get the information to the parents, to the people who truly need those services the most. And if whatever it takes, if you got to get them there, you got to bus them there, bike them there, whatever it takes, we're gonna make sure that we get those folks in those places. Definitely.
Good. And I appreciate what you said, because you didn't use these words, but what I'm gathering from you is we have a responsibility of those natural engagements. So if a parent is coming to pick up their child from you, that's an opportunity for you to tell them, hey, I need to let you know what's going on. If individuals are coming to church and we know naturally we're going to gather Wednesday night for Bible study and Sunday at church, what I'm hearing from you is if you're going to see them naturally during that time, inform them during that time and use that as an opportunity to kind of work through those barriers. Yes, ma'am.
Just off of what he said, something else that I noticed was that they actually had like the cards where you could put your questions in. So if you weren't present, you were able to. And so if you did have someone representing, from the church, or you were transporting or what have you, for those that aren't able to go, the questions or concerns can still be addressed by having, those questions already written out, and someone can go to the podium and ask, and then be able to, come back and report type of thing as well.
Great point. And so what she's speaking to at city and county commission meetings, you have the ability, as soon as a meeting starts, you can fill out a comment card. You state your name. I think you got to put your address on there. And they're going to put your card in a stack, and you are guaranteed 3 minutes to come to the podium and make a comment or to ask a question. And what she's speaking to is, if I know Miss Lasagna can't go to the meeting because she has to work, I can talk to her in advance and say, is there something that you want me to say? Is there something that you need me to ask based on what you are experiencing, based on what's happening with you as a mom, raising children? What do you want me to say for you? And I should go and say that for her. I appreciate that, because I'm often at those meetings and I have not done that before. So that is an excellent solution. Thank you. I've never thought of that. Never thought of that. All right, Chief Green, you ready? Oh, yeah. You're ready. So Chief Green, of course, he also serves as a coach at Godby High School. Godby has a special place in my heart. I worked at Griffin Middle School for a few years. And of course, I call them my kids. All my kids transitioned to Godby. And they said, Miss Tiffany, you coming to Godby with us? I said, no, I'm not. I'm going somewhere else. But I know that's a great school, and I'm grateful that you're there and you serve in the capacity to work with young men football team. Yes, sir. So this question is actually for Chief Green and Mr. Dennis. Can you speak to how your work with young people and with families, how does your work open the door for you to combat and create transformation through family generations? So how does your work give you the ability to work with families for a transformation? You've been in law enforcement for 30 years. Yes. Undoubtedly, you've seen somebody's granddaddy, daddy, son come through at some point, or some form of a generation. How have you seen your work open the door to create a change?
Wow, that's a good question. So throughout my career, I've been in contact with numerous people. I think the biggest impact that I have is, and I live on this, that no matter what interaction I have with you, I treat you as a person fairly first. So
you're gonna turn your mic on, Chief.
So you want me? You know,
because we need all these people to hear you, even though they see you.
So I will give an example with no names. I used to work as a detective a long time ago. Came in contact with a guy I went to high school with. I knew his brothers. I knew him from the south side of town. He ended up getting arrested. He went through some stuff. He went to prison, came back. I saw him 3 years later. I saw him and his fiance 3 years ago. They was out in Sam's, and they approached me. They said, you know what, thank you. You saved his life. And something like that is impactful. Though that we had a interaction and a negative thing, but something positive came out of it. So throughout my career, I've always stood on that ground with dealing with people. I have a job to do. I do my job effectively, but I treat people the same way you want to be treated. And I especially young people in the audience, interaction with law enforcement, don't believe what you see on TV, the rap songs. It's wrong. I mean, the videos I see always, and I always have this conversation. You know, and the media does not. I think we had a conversation with a young lady that's doing a paper or a dissertation on the media. The media sometimes gives you guys this much of the story, and it wants you to buy in and believe what you see. So I tell kids all the time, don't believe what you look. Know the law. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse to violate it, but it's you can't use an excuse. I didn't know I couldn't speed. No, that's not true. You still gonna get a ticket.
No speeding.
But knowledge is power, and I think that's big. So, in my career, I've always been that way. I can come across people. I think my impact has been more positive, especially with the youth I'm dealing with now. Yes, I want to win. I graduated from Garvey High School. I played football there. I went to college, and I want them to win. But I tell them wins and losses are always correlated with the score on the scoreboard. When I first got at Garvey 4 years ago, it was a mess. And I think that the impact, they see someone looks like them,
That's good.
come from the same households they came from, single parent, struggling, going to college, making a way, and succeeding in life. And I'm not rapping. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not, I'm doing something beneficial for them. So I think they see that every day. One of the kids, my senior, and I'm going off, but he gave me a nickname. It's called Coach Cop. And it was kind of funny at first. It was a joke, but then it stuck. So I think that my presence and my contact with more people in the community, and you read the bio, people say you do a lot, but I think that in order to solve the problem, you got to be helping the problem. So you can't sit there and complain on the couch, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that, if you're not doing anything to affect change. And I figure the more people I come in contact with and show them that the uniform is just a uniform. I'm a black man first, and my blood, I pump blood just like you do. I have feelings, I have emotions. I get mad, I cry, I love, all this, but it's a job. And so I think it's a human being outside of that. So something that Josh spoke on, and I think we talked about, is that a lot of these things, and you touched on it too, we're not hitting the right audiences. I speak with different panels about gun violence, and as you know, Tasha, it's bad. But when we have these speaking events, they're in places that people can't go. We need to go to them. We need to take the message to 32304, to Holden Street, to Basin Street, to the projects. Go and set up in there. Those are the people. If you look at the news and you see all the violence, that's where it's coming from. So I think the more people you come in contact with and you deliver a positive message, I think that the message get delivered. If I save one kid on my football team from doing something, that kid can affect 5 more kids. And that's why I look at it. So I don't look at it as a whole totality of every kid I come in contact with. If one kid can say, "Nah, man, Coach Green gonna know that's wrong. Don't do that." It's an impact. So that's what I say.
Good. Now, Chief, you made me remember something we talked about when we had our Zoom conversation, our prep meeting, and you talked about how important it was and how much you need the parents to be more involved with the young men. Correct?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about? And we're gonna come to you, Ms. Casey. Can you talk a little bit more about what can the church do to help parents be more involved, and what impact do you see with the younger generation because the parents are not more involved?
Well, like I said, growing up, and whether I wanted to or not, I went to church. I mean, I have a choice. Get up, get dressed, put it on, you're going to church. I don't care how tired you are, you're going to church. I think that more parents need to have that mentality. It doesn't solve everything, but that gave me a basis and it gave me a foundation in life. Something I knew between right and wrong. I respected authority. I sat in church. I knew I couldn't even chew gum, couldn't candy. Your mom.
Amen.
Everybody had that aunt. Everybody had that aunt to be like, spit that candy out, stop chewing candy.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's important. I think it's, and you sometimes say things. In my office, my sheriff, and he tell you I say stuff. I'm gonna speak with mine. you have too many children raising children. And you're trying to be their friend, and I deal with that. I say, listen, and believe I speak on kids all day. I got a kid that tells me, I said, smoking is bad. Well, my mom let me do it. Well, what can me as a father and a coach and a cop say? Well, your mom tell you to do it. What can I say to it? So I think the kids need something to do in church. And I talk about it so funny. I grew up in Mount Pleasant Church on Townsend Road a long time. I remember having to sing, do Easter programs and Christmas programs.
Y'all hear this, children?
Do a speech. Getting up there, learn the speech, taking the speech home, after learning, get in front of everybody, and he was proud about that.
All right.
I think that is missing. I think that aspect is missing. We're not focusing on those aspects. The kids don't have anything to do. When they come to church, they're bored. They might sit there. So I think, and we had a conversation, just having them something to do, to be engaged and be involved, and then going out and getting the parents to get them involved. So that's
Good.
why, yes.
I just got to take this opportunity to plug our youth department. Raise your hand if you're working in the youth department. As you can see, these young people all have pencil and paper. Praise the Lord. But I really do appreciate you saying that, because we are a ministry that believes whatever your age, God has still called you to be a leader. And even though you are a young person in school, you can still be developed into being a leader. So that is what our mission is with these kids. Sister Charnay Morris, she said, you are not supposed to be drawing in here. You need to be writing. And she said that very firm, and I was like, that's good. That's good, because they know that even though you're here in church, there is something that you can learn and you can gain. And I really appreciate it hearing you say that very firmly. This is the time that you need to write. Look on the screen, practice writing what you see on the screen. So kudos to you. All right, Mr. Dennis.
So I definitely want to piggyback off what you said there about the parents. We go to their homes. We definitely walk the kids home. We talk to those parents at their door. Sometimes they let us in, and we're telling them what's going on in the club, what we need from them, how they can get more involved. I train my staff all on just being positive. We treat people how you want to be treated. So when those parents come into the clubs, little Johnny may have had an extremely rough day the past 4 days in a row. But we're gonna tell that parent something positive that little Johnny did that day, and then little Johnny know, hey, I've been really bad today. But Mr. Casey's telling my mama something positive about me right now, or whatever. All right, Mr. Casey, I'm gonna deal with you a little bit, or whatever. So just being more positive about everything that we do. And so I've noticed that I've been in the game for 22 years. I've seen kids grow up, they have kids, and because we've been so positive, hey, I want my kids to come to the Boys and Girls Club so they can get that same love, that affection. We have a motto, it's called E3, Extraordinary Excellence Every Time. So that's what we definitely try to instill in all of the staff, everybody we come in contact with, because we know we have a powerful message, a powerful program that we can get more people in there. We can change a lot of lives, but it all starts with just the way you're treating folks, making sure that they feel comfortable, where it's a safe place where they just want to be involved. So that is a simple but just at the heart of what we do every day.
Good,
definitely.
Good. Thank you. So my next question for you, Mr. Dennis, is in your capacity, and you're walking kids home. Parents are picking up their kids from the center. Y'all are taking them on field trips. Do you see any opportunities possibly for the church to come alongside you and help support the work that you're doing with the children, but also those interactions with the parents as well?
Yes, come on out.
Okay.
Come on out. Yeah. I have a mission right now. We want every one of our children to have a mentor. So the church can definitely get involved in that. But of course, we know these days, and it's the right thing to do. Everyone has to have, a background check and all of that. Make sure we got, good, positive people working with the kids. But come on out. I mean, I have a volunteer coordinator that'll get you going tonight if you need. Because that's what's truly needed in our communities. We all talk about the problems. We all know that it exists. But if every person says, I'm going to take 15 minutes a week. Studies have shown that just 15 minutes a week with a child can change their trajectory in life. So everyone just say, hey, I'm going to spend 15 minutes a week with a kid. I'm going to come to the Boys and Girls Clubs. And these days, you don't have to be face to face with them. You can call them on the phone. We got FaceTime. You can FaceTime the kids and just say, hey, how was your day? What's going on? How you doing in school or whatever? Just that little interaction with that child can truly make a difference. So you want to help? Come on out to the club. We'll get you going. I promise you. We'll find a place.
Don't y'all want to go sign up right now?
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
You see what I meant by Mr. Casey? By the time he get done, you like, yeah, sign me up.
Yes.
But that's good though, Mr. Dennis, because we need this type of presence. I love what you said about, I could have been cutting up all week long, but you're still gonna identify something on the inside of me positive that you can reflect. And as a young person who had many challenges, I can attest, I was in ISS more days than I needed to be. For talking and doing fighting and all kind of stuff. But what has made a difference in my life is when I've had teachers and even coaches, because I ran track, that regardless of what they did see me doing, they were still able to identify something positive and the potential that I had, and they continued to talk to me about that. So thank you for that example. Thank you so much.
Tiffany, if I could cut in here. Did anyone go to the Oasis Fun Fest event maybe a couple of weekends ago? It was over at Tom Brown Park. No one in this room?
No, ma'am.
Oh, wow. So I think that highlights what we're talking about.
Okay.
People not knowing about things that are happening and not able to maybe get there as well. But there was, and I think a church actually maybe funded that event, and it was huge. It was at Tom Brown Park. There were a lot of vendors that came, food vendors, clinical therapists. I think there was somebody out there giving massages and all sorts of things. So, I think kind of tying to what you're saying, opening up opportunities for the community to come out, and maybe, you can band with another church and do a tour around Tallahassee and go to the targeted areas where people can't really access transportation, or maybe they're not getting out enough to know that things are happening, and bringing out the Boys and Girls Club to do a table,
Okay.
And, your other panelists and people within the church ministries, just to say, hey, we're here, we hear you, we see you, what do you need? I think that's awesome. I have 8 godchildren, and I can tell you 4 of them throughout the summer, if they're not active with me, they're just home, and they could be, I didn't even know Boys and Girls Club was like prevalent here, because I probably haven't been since it was in Joe Louis way back in the day, so just I think knowing that those resources exist, can help further push us along, but also just opening that access, the opportunities to people can see you all, and you all can see the community.
Good, thank you. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I did, just to kind of piggyback off what you just said. So we are still in Joe Louis. We're in Joe Louis. We're in Pinewood Place, Grady Road, just a Sunrise, 2525 Texas Street, Hollyfield, the Bricks. So we're in all those places. So we serve a lot of kids who truly need us the most. But there are a lot of parents who they're not going to send their kids to the projects or whatever. So that's just something that we're kind of dealing with. And I'm happy to announce that we partnered with Charlie Ward, and we're going to have a standalone facility on the Champions Ranch, a beautiful state-of-the-art facility where all kids can come. And then we'll have a chance to get our kids from Joe Louis and all those places to play football on a real football field after school. They're not trying to dodge those big boulders and the bricks in the way of those types of things. So yeah, just using the resources to really help the community and get the kids in spaces where they truly can benefit.
Good,
definitely.
good.
Most definitely.
Thank you. Now I have to say, we had a couple of our kids, I was asking their mom where they were when I was doing pickup for church. And she said, well, they had a field trip at Toyota Bullware. And I said, who are they with? She said, the Boys and Girls Club. So we riding by, and I'm trying to see if I can see them at the car dealership. But I thought that was really a pretty good partnership that you had to give kids those different opportunities that they would not otherwise have. And the mom said, I really want to know what they did. I can't wait until they get back. So it was good to hear her excitement and expressing the kids' excitement as well. Which is transitioning to both Janess and Dr. Erica. Question, are mental health diagnoses increasing? If yes, what may be influencing their increase? And use your microphone.
Yes, they are increasing, and it's a variety of things. I see a lot of generational genetics, just family history, and the whereas years ago, in our culture, behaviors and actions were not talked about. So now they're more involving and they're coming to the forefront. And so we as a community and we are people having to deal with those behaviors. And so they're becoming more prevalent in that area. You have substance use that brings about increase in diagnosis. So yes, this is just a variety of things. And the generations are becoming more younger that you're going to do it. So they're starting to deal with things now as little as elementary, and they're becoming more and advancing. And the lack of education, the lack of knowledge of what they're dealing
Hold
with.
it up for me.
I'm sorry,
Yep,
what
there you
they're
go.
dealing with can go unknown. And so that's what's causing, in my thoughts, of the reason why we're seeing a lot of more diagnosis.
Thank you. Keep that because I have some follow-up questions for both of you.
I am younger generation, right? I know you're asking me a mental health question. I was just for clarity purposes. So the question as to whether or not mental health diagnoses are increasing, of course the stats will say that. But if we look at it just kind of from a one-dimensional perspective, that might be the answer. But we know that a lot of the people in life encounter traumas. And if we start to expand our scope and look at it from a biological, psychological, and social perspective and ask ourselves, are these symptoms truly symptoms of a true mental health disorder? Or are they a manifestation of a trauma that has been unhealed? So I think the answer might be yes with stats, but if we look at it from that perspective, but we really have to shift our focus and we have to ask ourselves, what are the communities that our patients are coming from? Where are they living at? What are the experiences that they are encountering on a day-to-day? We think of traumas as big events. What about food deprivation? Living in unsafe communities, struggling with utilities, the day-to-day struggles that happen with people. And so from a perspective of, diagnoses, from, the statistics, looking at it from that way, I say yes, but I do know that a lot of people may present as having a mental health disorder because they have untreated trauma. And I think with EMDR, Michelle mentioned child welfare. There are so many things that people encounter on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes we pathologize those things, but we have to be willing to kind of look at it from an expanded focus. And so that's where does the church come in with all of this? And if we think about the treatment of trauma, of course, we have EMDR, the evidence-based practices for that, and cognitive behavioral therapy. But in addition to that, singing of hymns, really allowing yourself to feel safe in a trusted environment relationally, that's what heals traumas. So so the question is very, for me, it's not really a yes or a no because I think it's so multifaceted. And we have to think about the communities, and we have to think about the lived experiences and the life and the social determinants of health that impact individuals. All of these things impact how people respond. And over time, the science behind it is as we think about the allostatic load, the chronic wear and tear on our bodies make us more predisposed to chronic health conditions and mental health. And the behaviors, the corresponding behaviors might be substance use and abuse. So for me, that question is very nuanced. So I don't know if I gave you a good answer or not, but I want you to think about it if nothing else. Is it really is what it is, or if we look at it from an expanded perspective, are we looking at people holistically? And so that's what I think that churches can do. I think that being there for people, really looking at their lived experiences. Do they have food? Do they have clothing? Do they have emotional and social support? We know that the science, the research tells us that when people have these things, they're better able to cope with hard conditions in life. And so are we supporting each other in that way? Are we there for each other in that way? And in churches, I think about My experience in church, the church is really who made me who I am. The standing in front of the Easter Sundays and having the long speeches.
Children.
The speeches, the singing when I felt hopeless. All of these things have been a part of my healing and my experience. So I think having this type of conversation where you're actively engaged and you want to find solutions, I think all of those things are part of what churches can do, and creating a sense of community, because that in and of itself, community is so important. And we do know the science says that loneliness is just as bad as smoking packs of cigarettes a day. So there's a lot that the churches can do, and being part of that. So that's my long-winded answer to that question.
Dr. Erica, I feel like you just kicked the door down. But I love that you made a few very powerful statements that I would love for you to impact. You talked about EMDR as a therapy, so I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about that so we as a church can know. And you also specialize in that therapy, correct? You also talked about pathology. And so could you talk about that a little bit more so we as a church can understand that and see how the solutions that you gave us, getting involved, singing hymns, creating a sense of community, creating a safe environment, how do those things work together with what therapies may be occurring when someone does come and sit down and speak to you? Or you, Ms. Rolanda.
So I'll briefly talk about EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, which is an approach where if we think about trauma and how memories may be improperly encoded in our brains, it's a modality where you're reprocessing those experiences so that you're able to neutralize them and hopefully find something positive from those experiences. Because we do know that people can heal from trauma. So EMDR is one of those. I'm not going into great detail about it, but it would be something that a trained EMDR therapist would actually work with a client that is presenting with trauma symptoms. So that's from a therapeutic perspective. But as we think about pathology, with depression, so oftentimes if someone has trauma, they may experience depression or anxiety, or may they may meet the clinical definition for post-traumatic stress disorder. So clinically on paper, they meet the criteria because they have all of these experiences based on the DSM-R text revision. However, if we're just looking at it from that perspective, we're looking at it from a one-dimensional. Because yes, they may, but what about if we look at it from the social, if we look at it from the relationally, looking at that person holistically and not really just basing it on how they're presenting, what was their experience like? What is their family life like? Do they have a support system in place? Are they able to eat? Is there food for eating? All of these things go into how people function. And so that's, as we think about what can we do, I think all of us can do something. I think that we all can contribute in some way. Sometimes it's just a kindness, presenting in a kind way. When you're in line and someone does something or says something to you and you feel angered by it, responding the opposite way. Treating them, because we really don't know what people are experiencing. We really don't know people's situations on a day-to-day basis. And so I think all of us have the capacity to be kind. And so it starts there. And so if we have a community where we have someone that has a traumatic experience, and they're going to a certified EMDR therapist, but also they have a support system. They have a church family that supports them. If they need food, there's an opportunity for them to get food. They have a clean place to live. They have somewhere to sleep. These are all of the things that we as humans need. And so how do we expect people to grow and heal if they don't have the basic needs? And so I think as a church, as a community, as an individual, that we can all contribute to that. Like getting those basic needs met, but also being supportive and kind and treating people with grace. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Rolanda, did you want to talk a little bit more?
Just a little bit.
And make sure you hold the mic up.
Okay. Dr. Miller, correct? Okay. Just want to make sure. So Dr. Miller was correct in regards to EMDR therapy. It is where we go over the history of that individual, and we reprocess or we activate the brain to reprocess traumatic episodes that have happened in their life. Typically, when you think of something that you have gone through, there is a feeling that happens in your body. So if you think of the first song that you fell in love with, you think about how it makes you smile, how good, all that good stuff. When you have a negative experience, it does the same thing. And so it desensitizes the emotion, the effect to thinking about that memory. It doesn't erase the memory's still there, but it's not as prevalent as it was before, to where it's just debilitating you and you can't move. From my approach, from a holistic standpoint of things, I like to go a little deeper in it. And so I do like to look at intergenerational trauma, because trauma doesn't always have to be a per se lived experience that you went through. We understand epigenetics, we understand polyvagal theory, and how your vagus nerve adapts to experiences that you've had, but that also has happened with our ancestors, with our elders and things like that. Being taught how to handle situations based on what their introduction was. So we all know to be home before the street lights come on.
Yes, ma'am.
We didn't know why, but we knew that it needed to be done, right? But if we look a little deeper into the history of that, we're familiar with sundown towns, right? And so there was guidance and parenting from not just a respect of, this is my house, you're not gonna come in late, but there was also a safety that was, put in there, right? And so, but then there's also a gap of lack of communication and understanding for the generations that came next as to why this was happening or why the discipline was happening this way. So I feel like I got away from your question.
You're fine. You just keep on going. You just keep going. You're perfectly fine.
But these things play a huge factor into it. And just like Dr. Miller said as well, trauma doesn't always have to be a major accident or I lost my job. It can be food insecurity, right? It can be using a child to go and do a drug exchange. Wow. You know what I mean? It can be, we don't have anywhere to stay, but I'm staying with this family member in this place that is very risky, and so those things begin to get internalized. And if you think about Legos, if we stack Legos really high, what happens at some point? It falls. The same thing happens within our body. When we begin to put experiences on top of experience on top of experience, you're going to get a behavior. You're going to get something that comes, out of these situations that have never been able to be released. And I do feel that within the African American community, we have been silenced, and we have not had the ability to be vocal about the traumas that we have experienced personally, the traumas that we have seen our neighbors and our friends and our family members. And it has come to a point now where we need to have these outlets. And so something that we are implementing, Manifestation Wellness and Boys and Girls Club have tied together. I do an Untangled series. It's a 12-week program, and then I do an actual Untangled event. But we just kicked it off last week Friday with one of our groups.
That's awesome.
And we did what I call Sing to Heal, which is a karaoke night that I created to allow everyone in the community to find their voice. Because when you're not used to speaking or advocating for yourself or having that validation of This is the pain that I'm feeling. You suppress that within your body. And when we suppress our emotions, then we have dis-ease that occurs, right? We are seeing the high blood pressure. We're eating unhealthy because these are our developed coping mechanisms that we have. And so, as Dr. Miller said, having the opportunity to sing hymns in church and do the Easter speech, or maybe, talk through it so it's not as traumatic. But also, when we are connected, not just in children's church, but in with the adults as well, helping bring that awareness of what are you feeling in your body, putting a name to that and validating that, you know what, I understand how you're feeling. I understand that you do not want to go to church today. Tell me where you're feeling that in your body. This is why it's important for us to have church, teaching the purpose of community and networking and building a family, because family doesn't always mean DNA. And so when we are having that teaching and that communication, it helps the younger generations understand why we're doing things. I'm an 80s baby, straight at 1980, bam, right? And I didn't grow up, I'm not from Florida, but I spent time, don't do that, because I'm not from Florida. I heard it. My spirit felt it. The Lord said, look over. I'm from California. He's just sad. It's okay. But I spent some summers here. My grandmother, our church was Christian Heritage. And I also spent time in Mississippi. And I can remember that when I was told something, that's just what it was. You didn't get to ask, like, well, why do we do that? And is it a challenge because they're asking this question, or is it they're trying to understand, And some of the things that I have been noticing in my practice and working in the therapy practice, working with the clients, is that direction is given when they're children, and so the questions are not allowed to be asked and things like that. And when they become adults, they're having a hard time communicating. They're having a hard time regulating emotions. They're getting married, and there's some challenges there. Childhood is an internship, right? And so for those of us, we went through our internships. We what? Graduated. If I could have ran across the stage, I would have. But childhood is an internship. And so as adults, as church, community, neighbors, all of these things, we have to teach them how to properly do these things. And if we are unaware of how to do it, then we have to unlearn and relearn for the sake of being able to teach them. Good. This is how we are assisting with recognizing and validating the traumas that have been experienced. So that way there's no fear of reaching out to your church member and saying, I need somebody to talk to. I'm really going through a lot. Right? There's a book that I read, and I've had my students at the university. I've taught it in class, and it's called The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. And it shows you how the struggles and the wording, the verbiage for mental health, and I don't want to say the full word because we have children in here. I can't remember the acronym for it, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about. But how the wording looks different, because when we think of it, it's always been other cultures that do it. That's not a black thing. Black people don't do that, right? Is what we constantly hear. But there are certain words that we use in our community that's a cry for help. And if we are able to, have these conversations, if we're feeling open enough to come out and say, this is what I'm dealing with, that trauma doesn't continue to build up, and we're able to have a release. I know that was really long. I kind of feel like I went everywhere. Y'all forgive me.
It's okay. It's okay. Really good, because it made a great segue. Dr. Erica, I wanted to ask you, what are some common trends you have seen with our younger generation? I can come back to you if you want me to.
Okay, excuse me for doing that,
Yes,
but I
ma'am.
didn't want to swallow it. So what are some trends that I'm seeing with younger generations? What I really think is great about the younger generation is that they are, I think they say what they feel in a lot of ways, which is a strength, because if you listen, a lot of times they tell you what they need. So really listening, and so this kind of goes back to the parents, because I think children are speaking all the time. I was talking to someone on today, and I had a question about something, and I said, no, I'll ask my son. He's going to give it to me straight. He'll tell me the truth, okay? You might, you will dress it up and you won't say it, but he will. And so some of the trends, of course, there's this, and I'm going to say there's this epidemic of online, social media, cell phones, and I think it's getting in the way of connection. I do think it's getting in the way of parents connecting with children. And they are getting so many influences online, influences that you're aware of or you're not aware of. And so I think if we look at one of the biggest areas that we really, as adults need to really tap into is what they are learning online. And so parenting is not a passive sport. It's not passive.
You said that's not a passive sport.
Parenting is not a passive sport. It's active. It's active engagement. It's being deliberate. It's being intentional. It's connecting. It's understanding. And it takes, it's like anything else that's worthwhile, you put the time into it. And I think there is this disconnect oftentimes between children and parents, and I think there's this misnomer that as they get older that the parenting is needed less. But this is how you shift it slightly, even as young adults, because if we think about it biologically, the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for executive functioning, develops at about 25. But yet and still, children we vote at 18. There's a lot of things that happens. Legal decisions can be made at 18. And that reasoning, that ability to have good insight and make good judgments is in process when they're younger. That's the biology of it. So if we are letting our kids be and not guiding and coaching and really connecting with them and hearing them and learning and just being present and listening, then we're missing something. And so then we say, well, I was in the house, how did this happen? It's because we weren't connected and we weren't being actively engaged. We were passively parenting. So I don't know if I went off scope here.
Y'all are right on track.
But I think if we asked about what's happening with with younger kids, I think that plays into mental health, emotional, mental, behaviorally. All of these things are connected. There's an intersectionality where all of these conditions or all of these experiences, there's some common thread with them. And so getting kids off of the phones. I know I sound old school. But it's really, it's so much more impactful. There's science behind it. It's so much more impactful than people realize. And so if you ask me what the concerns are, of course, mental health is one of them, but so is social media. How is social media influencing mental health? Physical health. That's another concern. How is less activity influencing physical health, but also impacting mental health? How are parents connecting with their children? Are tablets raising children, or are we actively engaged? So that's, I don't know. That I will summarize that. I'm concluding now, but I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. So we are ready to transition to audience questions. So we will take 5 questions from the audience, and we're going to go ahead and transition to you, Chief Green.
Can I add something just before this question? It's something she said.
Yes, sir.
What I've noticed, and it's piggybacking something. The 2 things I noticed with young adults is conflict resolution. They don't know how to get out of conflict, and it correlates to the second one. They don't know how to communicate verbally, and that correlates to the phone. Just a quick example: my 17-year-old son. I said, "How do you tell a girl you like them, or you want to? I follow her on Instagram, or I DM her. When do you talk to them? when do you go up to her and say, hey?" They don't do that. So that's the part that's missing, and we're not the exposure, the verbal communication skills. They lack them, or they choose not to do them. So that's a big issue with dealing with stuff. And this is why we get ourselves, in my aspect in law enforcement, is when you're out there and something happens, you don't know how to resolve that conflict without doing something foolish. So that's a big topic. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
No problem. No problem. And if you have a comment, if you have a question, just raise your hand, and we will bring a microphone to you for your question. So again, just raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll make sure that we bring a microphone to you. And you can go ahead and stand for your first question.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Greetings, Apostle. Dr. Erica, I do have a question for you, and possibly Ms. Dennis as well. When you were talking about, parenting is not a passive sport, it's active. My question is, do you or have you served clients from Caribbean backgrounds? If so, what success stories do you have for active parenting in today's society, in today's time?
Good question.
So yes, I have served clients from Caribbean backgrounds. I'm a parent. I'm right there in the trenches with other parents. And so just a success story. I had a parent, initially I started working with the children. So the referral was for individual counseling with the children. And anytime you work with children, you work with their parents. It's just part of the process, because there's so much, you can't affect change if the whole family system isn't involved in it. So I had a one parent I would go, at that time I would travel to people's homes, and I would go to her house. And so I would go weekly, as a matter of fact. And initially, so of course, when you meet with kids, you have to do all of the intake paperwork. And initially, Mom was very cut and dry with me. So I would see her kids, hey, how you're doing, bye-bye. After a while, I continued to, every time I saw her, I would engage her, each time. And so it got to the point where she started to seek me out, because initially it was just for the girls. And so that led to family counseling, which actually led to changes in the family. But it was initially, she did not think it was something that she wanted to do, but she was supportive of her girls. But over time, she understood that my role there was really to empower the family, and part of working with her girls required working with her. And so that ended up being a success story. They ended up doing some great things and moving away and just doing really well with their family. And I often think of, sometimes when we think about people being resistant, because I don't believe in resistant people, I think that you just have to find the right approach. And when they're ready for it, they are ready for it, but you have to give them the space. So that's just one of many examples that I've had with working with families. And I know Michelle from way back. I know Michelle from way back because I started off doing work in the child welfare system. And so going to families, going to home visits, I've worked over 25 years actually. So I know how working with families and engaging family units. Anytime you work with children, you work with their families. And people are all a part of families, and we're all a part of communities. So that's just mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hi, greetings. My name is Sister Calicia Boyd. Thank you all so much for coming. So, in a time of global uncertainty, political conflict, climate crises, and economic instability, where do you see signs of hope or progress?
You know what? That's actually a really cool question, and I'm glad you asked it. So, from the biography, I am the president CEO of an art gallery, and everything happens in that art gallery. It's not just art. It's one of the largest contemporary art spaces in the southeastern United States. So we have concerts there, and literary salons, and community days, and anything you can think of. The community can rent it out, and then I host a radio show. And then I teach 3 high school classes. And then I teach 3 college classes. And the common through line that I see with all of those things is a curiosity. Now, that curiosity is something that is sometimes scary, because some people are up here talking about social media. Social media, especially younger people, is allowing them to be curious in ways that I could have never imagined. And I'm not that old myself. I just have gray hair. I'm only 37, but you take somebody even 10 years younger than me, and you can kind of see that they're conspiratorial. But on the other end, that curiosity it may well be the thing that saves communities, because people aren't afraid to ask questions. I heard her say that kids are telling the truth in ways that we were kind of taught not to. What happens in this house stays in this house. While that's a beautiful sentiment, some of that stuff shouldn't be staying in the house. And these kids have the wherewithal to say something's wrong, or sometimes they'll act out. And I'm sure Chief Green sees that. And sometimes that acting out is a cry for help. And so I see a curiosity in people that gives me a deep hope, even though sometimes it's a little darker than others. I think that curiosity might be the very vessel to pour from going forward.
That's good.
Thank you. So, can you hear me? There it goes. I don't know why I get so excited when I. Anyways, so where I see hope at in this time, as I feel like this is an opportunity for families to connect deeper. It makes me think about all the times that I used to be in the kitchen snapping peas and cutting collard greens and things like that, right? This is an opportunity with everything happening, and this is where our farm comes into place as well. This is an opportunity to teach those, whether it's young or older, sustainability, how to be able to provide for yourself. My grandma used to always tell me, as long as you got beans and some rice, you may have some meat. That's all right if you do. If you don't, that's fine. But you're gonna have something to eat on the table. I think that we hear about privilege a lot. And we hear the term that others have privilege and we don't. And I actually believe that we do have privilege. It's just been a little dormant. We gotta dust that off, because our people have been surviving and creating and making things out of the lesser amount of what we were given. And so I think this is the time now for us to tell the stories of what, our history. This is the time to teach our kids how to sow seed, not just physical seed in the ground to grow produce, harvest, but sow seed in community, because when we come together, we're stronger. And so even though all these things are happening, some things we may feel like we have no control, but what do we have control in, and how can I best prepare myself and my neighbor and my children? We, talk to people a lot about having a farm number. You don't have to have a farm to have a farm number. You can farm right on your patio. Go to Amazon, get you some grow bags, and put you some soil in there. Grow your bell peppers. There you go, right? You just cut some costs from going to Publix, because Publix is high. And
Yes,
Walmart, they bell peppers be turning colors, and I just, So, but there are certain things that we can do. And I know growing up, you know, we used to, if this person had this and I had this, we would join our resources together. And so now it's time for us to start tapping into these things that have always been within our history. We just don't talk about it no more because we got a Walmart and a Costco and a Sam's and all this other stuff. But we got it. You know, we gonna be all right. We gonna keep on going. We just have to dig into it and spark those conversations.
I was going to add to Rolanda. I think we need to extend the sick and shut in list to people who not sick and shut in before they get there. But you know, the preventative nature of care. You know, I think just adding to what you're saying, you know, not only teaching how to sow the seeds, but maybe getting ahead of the Medicaid cuts, right? And bringing in, you know, how are we going to manage food deserts? How are we going to manage getting people what they need? Because there's another epidemic happening. Talk about loneliness. Our senior community is struggling. They are by themselves. A lot of folks without family. I'll share this. I wish I didn't have to, but I was working with a woman in Quincy, Florida, and she was very stubborn, my God. But I was pulling for family, I'm calling people, and I'm moving outside of the scope of my job. I'm letting the Spirit lead me because I know that I can't do it by myself. I can't support her by myself. She's not even letting me support her by myself. And I couldn't find the right resources. I'm calling DCF and I was really trying to get her to service. She really needed to just move out of the house. I ended up leaving the job, and she burned in her house. She didn't have the support. She didn't have people checking in on her regularly. I stopped by the neighbor's house. Hey, can you just go over there and make sure she's eating, you know, every now and again, you know, whatever. But I just couldn't build that support network for her as quickly as, you know, she needed it. So I think, like I'm saying, you know, adding folks to that sick and shut-in list and checking in and, oh, we haven't seen such and such lately. I know she left us a couple of years ago, but somebody should go over there and check in, you know. We need that back.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. We have one young lady right behind you, and then we'll transition to you.
Hello, I'm Leah. Sorry, it's making me nervous to do this. But you were talking about changing our mindset from looking at mental health, I guess, in the Black community from a one-dimensional perspective, just looking at the stats, the numbers, and the testing and all the things. And I really resonated with that because I'm someone who experienced that, where on paper I was so and so and so and so. But when I really broke down all the things that I had been through in life and all the layers to what I was experiencing, I realized the more I peeled them back, the less on paper really fit me. So are there any like tips or strategies that you give people who are, you know, transitioning from, you know, what they may be on paper to actually just realizing, hey, you just needed support, or this was just a lot of trauma, or just a lot of different things, you know, being built up to make you look like you're such and such diagnosis or whatever?
So I do want to acknowledge that when you work with people, at least from my therapeutic approach, we always look at the person first, and the person might have these conditions, but the person is not the condition. So with that being said, the person is not the condition. Of course, if we're experiencing depression, we want treatment for that. We have providers, we have competent providers to treat that. But we're also looking at it holistically. So you may meet the criteria for depression, but if you look at like the trauma aspect of it, and you look at all of the other concerns that a person might present with, and if you treat someone holistically, you're looking at, again, very multidimensional and trying to address various areas that they might need. Maybe they need food resources. Maybe they just need community and family, but you're still going and getting treatment for depression. I don't want to minimize that we wouldn't get that we wouldn't get the level of care that we need, because that is important. It's not just that. You're looking at it from other areas. You're not only, okay, I'm going to therapy and I'm working with a therapist, but I'm also looking at my relationships. Who's in my who's a part of my support system? I'm looking at my physical activity. Am I moving enough? Am I taking care of what I need, physically? I'm looking at it from a holistic perspective, because I realize that I'm not one thing or another, and mind and body are connected, right? It's not bifurcated. It's not, okay, here's the mind, here's the body, but they all work together. And so when we look at people holistically, we humanize them. We want to humanize people because they're bigger than just, well, this person is depressed. This person has depression, but this person is a mother, a daughter, an active member of the church, a leader. This person has so many different dimensions, and so we have to really look at people from that perspective. But I want to continue to reiterate that we still treat those things, because if we had diabetes, we would treat it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But also, we should, if we have diabetes, we treat the diabetes, but we address the depression, we look at the relationships, we look at the physical activity, we look at all of these things, and we work to treat the person so that the person overall is strengthened. So, did that answer your question? Yes.
And I wanted to just also add to that. A lot of time when I start working with clients, one of the first questions I ask is, tell me about yourself. Who are you? And that's one of the things that we, as all people, we need to know who we are, irregardless of what they said, okay, or what it said. Who are you? Because at the end of the day, you have to live with you. So once I look and you tell me who you are, now we're going to start liking, how can I help you and where do you want to go? Because I'm here to go along with you. But I want you to drive that car. So that's one of the things that's like I say, who are you? And how are you with that? Labels can be put on all day. That's somebody or what they thought you were at that time, or whatever you were going on with your life at that time. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. And once we start talking about that, it go from one thing to another. And then that onion is coming off. Sometimes you don't even know it is. It's coming off. So that's what I asked the question. Labels are labels, but knowing who you are and be able to get to that point.
Hold on 1 second.
I wanted to piggyback off what they both just said as well. And so it is important to identify who you are, and because healing is a journey. This experience is a journey, a flow. There's no end. It's continuous of evolving and learning self, right? So identifying who you are and who you are aspiring to be, understanding that these are just episodes that have happened in your life, that these are experiences that you've had, but there's still, as they stated, that human being that is within that. And I also like to incorporate vision boards in that. So if you're telling me this is who, I always ask my clients, give me 3 words. We have a worksheet that I've created, a workbook. Give me 3 words that describe you right now. And why did you pick these 3 words? And then give me 3 words that describe your higher self or who you're aspiring to be and why those 3 words. And then I want you to take those 3 words and I want you to show me what that looks like for you. Here's a vision board. I want you to sit down and take some time, whether you write it out, draw it out, cut out pictures, whatever that is, because what happens is the brain is now processing these positive visions, these positive thoughts, this positive thinking about self. And as was stated, the layers of peeling back, the false sense of self that that individual may have had, of they're not worthy, they're not deserving, it begins to flip, because now they're incorporating, this is where I'm going to. And it's a constant reminder that they get to look at this when they are feeling like, okay, I'm vibrating a little low today, this is where I'm going though. It helps them to continue to build themselves up and have something to look forward to. And then also think deeper as, why am I feeling this way? Let me talk to my therapist about this as well.
Thank you very much. One of the things I thought about when you said about how our churches can be involved, and as it relates to our senior citizens, do you think the church should be on target with caring and seeing about our senior citizens? Do we play a big enough role in that, looking after our seniors? And when you said that there was one that burned in the house, where are the church members that she was associated with? Could that be a role that the churches could play at this time? And the other thing I had mentioned here or listed here was domestic violence. How much does this play into the, I don't want to say psyche, or the mental healthness or health issues that our people have at this time? I didn't hear you address the domestic violence part of it.
Good, thank you. You can give it to her. I'm sorry.
Well, prenatal exposure, especially through when domestic violence is present, even it plays a high. Can't think of the word, but it plays a factor into it. What the child has been exposed to, and then when it comes out, when the mom stresses, the baby stresses, and if the child is born into that environment, it continues. So it has a high, rate on that.
And I guess I can add just a little bit from my 30 years of involvement. It's a direct correlation to the propensity of violence, the propensity of a lot of things. Just being exposed to that inside of a home. We did a study at our sheriff's office about 6 years ago, anatomy of a homicide, and it broke down the characteristics, the age, all the things that was common with all the people that committed a violent crime in Tallahassee. And one of those factors was exposure to violence at a young age, whether it's domestic violence or seeing it from a family member getting harm to them or something like that. So it does the mental aspect of it, and us in law enforcement, we have to take that in account. We try to do our best to be sensitive in those areas, but it's something that we can't prevent it. There's a lot of crimes in the community we can try to prevent. We got to prevent speeding, robbery, stuff like that. But in-home domestic violence, those are so rare, so uncontrollable that you can't. But when we get exposed to them, we try to reach out to those kids and get them in the right atmospheres and in the right locations where they not have that affect them in the rest of their life. So yes, it is a big effect. Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you. And you can go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're coming back to that word of prevention, right? So I think oftentimes, in the child welfare industry, looking at cases with domestic violence, you see maybe, I believe it was, I don't know the name of the church. Simone, you're out there, or Shanae, you all might know, but there was a church, I think from the other side of town, across the tracks, I would say, that came in to intervene with Big Bend, or Northwest Florida as we call it now, to step in and be like a safety manager, right? And so there were church members from that church who would come in and safety manage for the children. So when you talk about domestic violence, maybe there's a safety plan that exists that says, hey, until dad completes, or mom, let's say until mom completes batterer's intervention program and kind of fix those behaviors, addresses her anger issues, maybe she can't come around, or if she does come around, it has to be supervised. Someone from the church would, be able to do that for the family. And so I thought that was really neat that church organization kind of created themselves or postured themselves with the child welfare industry to come in and do that. And I would love to see other churches, maybe foster that relationship with the system. And, because I'll be honest and say, I don't believe that church had a lot of black participants that were actively involved in the cases that were happening. So it's important for our black kids, our black moms, our black young dads to see people who look like them come in and try to show them a better way to manage their lifestyle. Hey, these kids are hurting every time they see you hurting. Or you see them, maybe fearing you, because you're hurting the other parent, or you're hurting the children themselves, with physical abuse. So I think having that extra support from the community step in and say, hey, we don't have to do this like this. Sometimes even women I've seen, they'll cling to their abuser because they don't value themselves enough to step away. They don't think that I can have something better. Who's gonna want me with 2-3 kids? And so I think giving back, that empowerment and that strength to say, no, you can do it, even if you have to do it alone. Now, we'll work with him or we'll work with you until somebody can, get right and we can make it a safe situation for the kids. But there has to be more people other than the system driving that.
That's good. That's good. Is this an online question
It is.
We have our first online question.
We have
and our
an
final
online.
question. Correct?
Yes, final question for the panel, and greetings again to everyone and our lovely apostle in the building. The question is from Miss Michelle Roberts. She asks, do children who are victims of bullying exhibit or present mental health issues? Example, bullying in the home and in school.
Good question.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we kind of see this play out in numerous ways. I mean, people can self-harm from being bullied. People can harm others, become more aggressive. I was bullied as a kid growing up, and I don't really know how I got through it. I can't say that I told people or I shared. Maybe I told my grandma. She'd say they just jealous, but they didn't keep them from bullying me. But I think creating a safe space for kids to be able to address what's happening to them in school or in the home, and I think having that safe space is maybe the first step to addressing that. But it absolutely has an impact that I think we see from various positions. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll add, and I've spoken at the school boards before when I supervised the school resource department, and people always ask about the guns on campus, and you see the news, a student brings a gun to school, this and that. We always interview the kid, and over 90% of the time it's because they've been bullied, or it's protection to and from school. It's never an aspect of what we think when we see on TV, I'm bringing a gun to school to inflict violence on people. It's for protection, because either they're scared or the route they take to school is through the wrong part of the neighborhood and they're worried. So it does have a direct correlation on kids' reaction, and they're scared, and they see the biggest issue we have is not that they want to inflict violence, but they're afraid violence will be inflicted on them. So this is the quickest thing they can do. So that is the majority of the time we see with violence in kids. They're being bullied or picked on, or social media threads or something on that, and that's the biggest issues we see in my profession. Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll just support what's been said. The youth that I see ages 10 and up, and the experiences are a lot of anxiety that is coming on, inability to sleep through the night, just a lot of difficulties that are happening, and you also see lack of completion of work, and I think it's important to try to have as much conversation as you possibly can with the child. I mean, when they're getting in the car, how was your day at school? Oh, it was fine. No, we need more than that. Start asking about what those interactions are looking like. When you're picking them up and they've been talking about a friend Sarah and Larry and all those other things. Oh, point them out, you know, be able to see these kids that they are referring to, right? When they're on the phone with them, because believe it or not, you can still be experiencing getting bullied, and it's the person that's supposed to be your friend, right? And I have a thing with our youngest child, not everybody is your friend. You have an associate and you have a friend, and we're gonna understand what the difference is between the two, right? We just not out here friends with everybody, because not everybody has your best interest at hand. But understanding what those interactions are looking like, because it can be passed off as, oh, well, you know, they're just my friend, they're just being nice, blah, 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 blah. But the interactions are very cruel, right? And it's very targeted. And it's just kind of like, oh, that's just how they are. No, we're not making excuses for that. So having the conversations and understanding how the child is feeling about these interactions that they're having, and then coming up with possible best solutions to help them solve that. Don't fully be like me and be that parent and be like, well, I'll show up. Praise God.
Yeah, you might lose a little trust. I don't know if I want to tell mom.
Yeah.
But I was gonna just add to that and say, get curious with your children. Always remain curious with your children. I think the more questions you ask, I play scenarios with my godchildren when they get with me. I'm always firing off questions, and you know, like I asked them. I had 2 going to high school this year. Lord bless them. And I said, you know, how will you deal with bullying if anyone ever tried to bully you? Well, what do you mean by that? If someone slapped your book out your hand or said, give me that pen, I want that pen. You know, how are you responding to these things? Because no, it may not have happened in elementary or middle school, but you may encounter it now with, you know, more bolder crowd or whatever, you know. But I think fostering space to have those curious conversations with them helps them at least be able to plan for it, you know, if it ever comes, you know, at least be able to direct them to know, you know, go to this person or talk to this person, or this is how you defend yourself physically, you know, whatever it is that you want your household to look like, you know, in terms of dealing with bullying. I think fostering that conversation and holding space for it is equally as important. So I agree.
And in that, you don't have to be your child's friend, but you want to make sure that they know you are an open door. So if anything is happening, they feel comfortable coming to you and having that conversation. Because just as Michelle said, they can just be talking about the slightest little thing, and to you it's like, wait a minute now, hold on, let's talk about this a little bit. Sometimes it just comes up as just a matter of fact. But if there is that hesitance about, well, you know, my mom or my dad, you know, they're busy or they're this or that, know that I don't care what I am doing. If you need me, come knock on my door, send me a text, call, what have you. My child is 15 and she is good for calling me, and I can be in a session. I don't answer right then, of course. Let me put that out there. I don't answer, but I heard the silence. I was like, wait, no, let me put that out there. Like,
my mama don't answer either
in the session, but she knows that, okay, my mom's possibly in a session. If she doesn't answer, at least she knows that I called, and when she can call me back, because I need my mom right now. And so for her, whatever she's dealing with, that's a release to know she didn't put the Batman sign out there, and I'm a call her back. But it's important for them to know that if there's nobody else they can go to, it should be that parent. Because when they are depending on going to others and having conversations, that's when we have bigger issues that begin to happen.
And I just really I know we're about to wrap it up, and so I just really wanted to leave. There was a question earlier about hope. What's hopeful in the community? I definitely want to say the youth. We've talked a lot tonight about, you know, all the issues that our youth are having, but I see a lot of positive things going on with our youth. We held a youth group with 30 teenagers or whatever, and we asking them, you know, what's going on? How can we assist? And those kids actually said, you know, we need and want more discipline. they're asking for more discipline. So we've got a staff member, Miss Shavonda, and Miss Shavonda, she don't play the radio. She gonna make sure that them kids are in line, that they're doing everything that they need to do, that they are structured, and she runs it like a military. And so for parents and people in the community, they're like, man, this is, she a little rough, or she a little rough around the edges, but the kids need that, and they actually love Miss Shavonda, and they come back each and every day to see Miss Shavonda, because Miss Shavonda is going to make sure that you're following instructions, that you're learning, and that you're getting that discipline. And that's what the kids truly say that they need and that they want. So I see a lot of positive going on with our kids, and definitely I see a lot of hope there for the future.
Good.
Definitely.
Good. Thank you. Let's give it up for our panel. Yes, this has been amazing, and one thing that I can say I really appreciate is some of the things that you all shared. We are currently doing as a ministry, but it helped me to see how we need to further develop those things and improve them. So I kind of go down the line. We do have a youth department. I said that we are committed to raising them as leaders. It does not matter your age. God says you're a leader. We believe that you're a leader, and we believe that when they go home, when they go to school, when they're in their community, they still have the responsibility to demonstrate that leadership wherever they go. Next, we have, I don't know if you all are familiar with I Grow Garden on Dent Street. So we have a couple of plots out there where a part of our 5-year plan was talking about sustainability, learning how to garden. Many people started that in their homes. Minister Sheena, where is she? She just harvested some amazing cucumbers. I said, next time, please give me some. But again, we have 4 plots, but when you begin to talk, I'm like, okay, there still is a need to continue to cultivate what we are doing in a way that it's sustainable and is really making a difference for the families that we encounter daily. I love what you said about community. Sometimes we at church and we just talking, hanging out, and I'm like, y'all don't want to go home? But it's community. It's that when we come together, we have a chance to laugh, talk about our day, encourage each other, share funny stories, sometimes sharing challenging things that happen, because this church really does cultivate that sense of community and just listening. My sister said, well, how was your day today? And I told her how it was. She didn't offer me a solution. She just listened. And that's really all I needed from her at that moment. I didn't need a solution. I just needed a safe space for me to respond and for her to just listen and say, okay, I love you. And we keep moving to the next thing. So I want to say again, thank you all so very much for everything you shared. We also have a Christian counseling program as a part of the work we do here at ministry. We want to offer, and we do believe it's our responsibility to offer Christian counseling for individuals. But what I love about that is we're not above understanding that our members need other things as well. And we have the ability to refer them to additional resources to continue to help in that journey. So again, I just appreciate so much everything that you all have shared. This is the first year that we decided to have the Midwife Experience, like we shared over Zoom, completely free, because we want as many people as possible to continue to engage in the work, hear your voices, hear your experience, so that we can all walk away and gain some experience. And was your name Leah? Leah, yes, I love what Leah said. She said, I'm that person that needs help. And Leah, I don't know who invited you, but I appreciate your question. You came in and you had a question based on what you heard, and we want to see more of that. And so this is an opportunity for everyone in the room, whether you're a member of the ministry or not, to sow into this continued work. So when we talk about the garden, working with the children, I'm trying to get them on the field trip, Mr. Casey, but I don't know if I can get them the Toyota Boy, but that's one of my goals. I'm trying to get them on a field trip this year. I've been advocating and I've been finding options for them, but I might need to talk to you about that as well. And we know that we need resources to continue to provide the services and the support that we're providing. We have a food pantry next door. We have a clothing pantry next door. And if a family needs help, I've went school shopping for a parent. I've went to a parent home and dropped off many things because we know that there is a need. And as a ministry, we believe that it is our responsibility to meet that need. So I'm going to have our media department put some the giving opportunity on the screen. But again, I'm inviting everyone who is in this room to sow and sow a seed into this vision here at our ministry. You can go to our website. It is here it is right here, dgminc.org. There's a yellow button. Well, the first thing you're going to see is a transportation button. Because we believe that if you don't have a ride, it's okay. We will come and pick you up. So you can just click that X and move beyond that transportation button, but you'll transition right into our website and you'll see a yellow button that says Give. And once you click that button, it'll take you to our giving page, and we have the Midwife Experience at the top. And again, we're just inviting you to continue to support the work that we are looking to do. This is not the end of our work. Like I said, I need to talk to Mr. Casey about some opportunities. I just told Josh, hey, I need to talk to you about something this week, so we're going to get together next week. We know as a ministry, we need support. We need your expertise. And we believe that Christ is the difference maker. I love what almost all of you talked about and made references to you being in church, your experiences in church and growing up and how it has impacted your life. And we want to continue to play a role in that. So again, we are inviting you to give. If someone can bring a basket for anyone that may have a cash or a check contribution, we will do that. And while we're doing it, I'm going to go ahead and invite Apostle Melinda up as well to do our closing remarks before we dismiss. And before you all leave, we do have a gift. We'll make sure that we give it to you out in the foyer area as well. So if I could have someone come and collect the gifts that we have to continue to support our work. And did y'all learn anything tonight? Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff that I'm so glad I was able to hear tonight. I have some more ideas. I'm really stuck on this field trip for the kids this year. I'm going to find a way to make that happen. I'm really excited about that. Really excited. And Minister Sheena, don't forget me when you go back to the garden and you harvesting. Remember me, please. So for everyone who's here in the room, again, I shared tomorrow night, we will be doing the same thing, but we'll have clergy. So I did a Zoom session with them, and they were talking. I'm like, remember that when you have, when they come on tomorrow night. So we're looking forward to that. I want you all to come back tomorrow night, bring your questions. If you heard something tonight that you want to ask clergy tomorrow, bring that tomorrow. What I really appreciated about their feedback was the clergy were sharing, hey, we need help. Someone said, you need to go out in the community, you need to listen and you need to learn. And they were sharing how much they understand that although we may think we have all the information, there's still a gap in that information. And it was helpful for me to hear them say that myself. And so with that, we'll go ahead and invite Apostle Melinda up to have our closing remarks, and we will dismiss.
Certainly, again, this was such a powerful night, and everything that each one of you panelists has delivered on tonight. I'm sorry, Elder, I didn't mean to stand in front of you. It's been so powerful. Josh, to Michelle, to Janess, to Dr. Erica, to Chief Bobby Green, to we have another doctor over there, Rolanda Dennis, and to Casey Dennis. Each one of you has spoken so profoundly tonight, giving us the tools, adding to what we have been doing here in the ministry, and everything that Minister Martin has stated tonight. We have been part of the community for a very long time. That was my heart posture in ministry when I was younger, coming up in ministry, that children was always my heart. It's been what I've been attached to as kids. I will fight for children. That is, you mess with children, they are innocent. Kids don't ask to be born in this world, and when they are, and you have parents that are not facilitating properly, that is our way of coming in and being that community to help. And what I have found out over the years, over the last 25, close to 30 years, working in the community with parents, with different agencies, is that I don't want my business out there. That has been one of the most Chief Green, that has been one of the most resistance is, I don't want you to know my business. You're a church. You don't supposed to know what's going on in my house. I didn't just get that from the people. That resistance was also from agencies. Not these agencies, but this is the things over the years that I have faced and been communicating with, that this is part of what the church is supposed to do. We're supposed to be in the community. We're supposed to be that voice of hope, that voice of faith, because when a person is losing their hope or have lost their faith, even in the midst of their trauma, the next step that they are going to take is that step that it's time to end this. This is not good. I can't get over this. But when we are operating and teaching them there is hope and there is faith, then that helps not just the individual, but it also helps their families. And so this is something I'm always at the Family Resource Center. I teach a parenting class at this Family Resource Center. And I'm telling you, I have the opportunity to speak to fathers as well as mothers at the Family Resource Center, teaching parenting classes. I find a lot there, but I also want to say that there is a great need, and I believe that we are collaborating together, that this will be the beginning of a great relationship on helping us as a church to foster these relationships and bridge the gaps. Not just mothers that I have been talking to at the Family Resource Centers, it is fathers that need help. It is fathers that have had possibly a record, and now they are unable to gain certain resources that other parents is privileged to because they have a record. And so those are some things that we deal with. I'm grateful for Sister Simone because she works with our benevolence program, and this is what she helps do. She try to help bridge that gap to those that are less fortunate, those that are having difficulties and being able to gain resources because of the things, Chief Barbara Green, that they've had in their past. This is the things that we work on. And so I pray that this is not just your only time interacting with Minister Tiffany and the leaders here, but that we will gain a greater sense of collaboration to be able to really help our community. And I'm grateful again for each one of you, your insight, your wisdom. I will be moderating tomorrow on the clergy side of it. And just what Minister Martin said, I don't claim to know everything. I do believe in counseling. Many years, the black church didn't believe in counseling. If you went to counseling, something was wrong with you, you didn't have faith. And that has been a stigma, that if you go to counseling, that means you didn't have faith. But I believe in counseling. I've done counseling. And I'm grateful for being able to be in that place that I can sit and talk to someone, because leaders need help also. We're not above having someone to talk to, because when we don't reach that plateau right here and things is happening, I'm leading a church, but I also have my own personal life. When we get to the point that we don't need help, then we're not successful leaders. Every leader, even the counselor, needs counseling. And I've counseled counsels before. So all these things, it's called community. It's called a family. And if we can work together on this, I believe we can change the nation. And so again, thank you, each one of you. I do have a gift for you. Minister Martin? And we had quite a few people on our Zoom, on our Triumph for Church. We had quite a few people online. We have Nigeria, Lagos in the house that is online as well. And so, yes, it is very, very early in the morning over there, but they're online here with us on tonight. Just to hear what you have to say tonight. And one of the leaders that's from Nigeria that's online and one that is on the Zoom is saying that they're really appreciative for the knowledge and the wisdom that each one of you have given. They have a different battle there in Lagos. Minister Martin and myself had the opportunity to take a trip to Lagos, Nigeria. And the need there for children and families is their makeup is totally different. But we were grateful to be able to go and impact in Lagos, Nigeria. That is a whole nother story. One day we'll get a chance to talk about that. But I'm certainly grateful. Thank each and every one of you. Give yourselves a hand clap. And again, we're looking forward to doing great exploits in the future. And so if everyone can stand, I'll go ahead and close us out in prayer. We certainly are thankful, Erica, for those that are online. We certainly acknowledge you, all those that have stayed online. Thank you, Lagos, Nigeria, for being on here with us on tonight. I know it is 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. It is 2:09 a.m. in the morning in Lagos. And we're certainly grateful for you. And Apostle Ray is in Ghana, so it is 3 a.m. in Ghana. And so, Apostle Ray, thank you so much for supporting Divine Glory Ministries from Ghana. We give God glory for these relationships and connections. Thank you, each and every one of you. Prophetess Payne is in South Carolina, so we're certainly grateful for you being on here on tonight and supporting that each one of you gain the wisdom and knowledge to be able to help your tribe, your community, and your church. Thank you, Pastor Green, for being with us on here tonight as well. We're certainly grateful for each one of you coming out and serving us and being a part of this. Amen. Amen. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and